Welcome back. I hope you had a great summer. We are back in our home lab studio situation. But in today's video, I want to continue on the journey of assessing measurement quality, and in particular, applying the techniques that we discussed in previous videos like correlation analysis to understand how well our measurements were performed. We're using data that I collected from this portable infrared spectrometer to actually move the data forward. And so I want to show what the data looks like and how we're going to apply the correlation analysis to filter this data. So let's get started. What we have here is our NIR data, where each sample represents a replicate. In this case, we're looking at sample 96 with at least 5 replicates shown here. And along the columns are our wavelengths. In the next cell, we begin to dig deeper into understanding the quality of the data, the quality of our replicates. I'm going to select a smaller wavelength range, and we're going to process the data within this range using 2 different signal processors. The first one is the Savinsky-Golay with a window length of 5 and a polynomial order of 3. And then we're also going to apply the standard normal variate to also help adjust for some of the scattering within the data. When we do that, we're going to create a new variable called correlation series, and that will be a Panda series data type. And in that, we're going to begin computing the correlation of our measurements and just focusing on the minimum correlation value. And that's what we're going to be storing in this core series. So I want to show you what that looks like now. And here you can see we have a series, and each value is a list of correlation values. In the next step, you can see I then explode this series. And what the explode method does is it takes this list, and instead of returning as a list, it will return as a new row in our series. So if we look at sample 96 and we use the explode method, now each item in that list is a new row, and we can now use this to regenerate our original data shape and then add this as a new column called core value in the first position to our process NIR data. And in the next line, we're just going to ensure that that data type is a floating point value. And then lastly, in the cell, we're going to look at the group quality by grouping by the index values and returning the minimum correlation value, so that we have a new series called group quality. And we're just going to look at the worst replicate in each of these. And then we'll add this to our larger data table that I'll show you in the next cell. So in the next cell, we do a couple more steps before we perform PCA in the bottom part. So in the beginning, we're going to create a new data table called merged data, where I will be merging metadata. So this is information about each of those measurements. We're going to merge our group quality data table and rename that what used to be core value as group quality, and then merge that with our process NIR data. When we do that, we can now then pass this merged data table into a query. So let me show you what merged data looks like. We have now our sample ID, our plastic type. We have this group quality. So I'm now just returning the minimum value, but I'm also just using the first 3 decimal points. And we have all of our process NIR data. So this data table will allow us to do quite a bit of work as we now begin looking for insights within this data table. Now, an important step in this is this query here, where we can look at group quality within merged data. And I have a statement here where we're going to look at the values that are greater than or equal to 0.95 correlation. So is it going to look in this group quality column, and also only filtering where we have general material equal to this var variable there. So we're focusing just on the plastics for this video. Next, we will perform PCA and create a new data frame called scores meta, where we're going to take our scores data and merge that with our metadata. So this will allow us to understand more about our materials. And lastly, finally, we're going to create a scatter plot so we can begin understanding the impact of our data filtering. When we do that, and we're filtering for just the values that have a relatively high correlation value, you can see we have a few plastics here. We have our polyethylene, we have our polypropylene, we have polyester, and we have this unknown that I'll just remove from the plot now. And we can see that the PETE samples are quite separate from the rest of the materials. We have polyester, which is also a nice dense cluster. And then we have polypropylene here in red. And on the left side, we have our low and high density polyethylene samples that appear to be overlapped when we just look at PC1 versus 2. However, we do have a way to produce a 3D scatter plot by taking advantage of the scatter 3D method by Plotly Express. And now we're going to plot PC1, 2, and 3. And when we do that, it's very nice. I'll again remove the unknown sample. We'll save that part for another video. We can see that as we rotate around, indeed, the low and high density polyethylene materials in blue and purple do begin to separate. And we can see that we have a really nice data set. So let me show you what happens when we reduce the quality filter. So let's say we want to look at something below this. Let's look at 0.5. So we're allowing more noise into our experiment. We're going to begin modeling some of that noise. You can see that the data begins to overlap significantly more. If you look at just the PET samples, we have more that were removed previously. We also have PVC here in purple that was highly variable. The container was black. So again, that wouldn't necessarily be a high quality measurement. If you look at the 3D scatter plot, we're starting to see a lot more noise in our data. This is why we want to filter our data based on just the high quality measurements, so that whatever we do next, say build a supervised machine learning classification model for predicting the type of plastic we have, we don't want to introduce this much noise necessarily, particularly when we don't have a lot of material. Now, if we had hundreds and thousands of samples, perhaps we wouldn't have to do this. However, given our limited number, we want to ensure we're looking at some of the variation, but focusing primarily on where we know we have high quality replicates in this case. We're going to continue to move through this and figure out how we can apply this to more real world unlabeled materials in future videos. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.